Hi guys, welcome to Black Diesel Garage. I'm Gabe, and in this series of videos, I'm going to be turning my truck into being able to live out of the back of it. I've already done that a little bit, and I'm going to make it right and make some changes to it. So this will probably be a several part series. I'll probably do one on putting a topper and insulating it, kind of making it the actual shell of the home. I will probably do another one on the making of my bed and the making of my table. And then I'll probably do one on the appliances I have for cooking, heating, and such as that. So this first part of the series, I'm going to talk over getting a getting a topper, insulating a topper, and making it livable, and some things you may think of or not think of as you get through the process of doing this. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is my 2011 Ford F-250. It's a long bed. I see a lot of people make their trucks livable out of a short bed truck, and I'm kind of happy to have the long bed. So gives me a hair more room, but it's not needed. You don't have to have a long bed. And I'll go ahead and show you my topper. Here's the topper I found. It's off a 2004 Chevy. It does not fit my truck perfect, but it does work. In searching for a topper, you may try places like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something. That's how I got mine, because I'm doing this on a budget. You could also just straight up call some companies that sell used toppers for a little more, or look into companies that sell brand new toppers. Just because you have a long bed does not mean you'll need a long bed topper. This tailgate is not for this truck. This year truck had the step in the tailgate that made it harder to get a topper for. So I got this tailgate for a little bit of an older truck than this, but had the same style bed without the tailgate, to make it easier to find a topper for. So when you get to talking to someone about a topper, make sure to measure your bed and get measurements from them to make sure that you can at least put it on your truck. Most of the time they use clamps. I did not use clamps. I used bolts because that's how it was on the previous truck. And that's just the way I wanted to do it, rather than having clamps get in the way of stuff. It's a little more sturdier too that way. This topper here, you can see I have a vice grip on it. Most of the time you get toppers, they will have struts that are bad if you're getting a used topper. And your options generally are aluminum or fiberglass. I would definitely say go with a fiberglass topper, just because it will insulate a little better. And I wanted windows, and I got 5% window tint, which I have not put on because I was going to have my windows, but I'm in cold areas and it just lets way too much cold through that glass window. So as you can see, I'm putting foam over it. So if you're going to be in a lot of cold areas, you may just skip out on using the windows. Maybe if you're going to be in cold areas a lot, get a solid side camper. It will insulate a little better. Now, if you're in summer conditions, the windows may be a good idea. And I went ahead and got one, found one with a bug screen, which you can make, and slidable sides. The fold open sides would be nice too, but they're just a lot harder to find. I'll probably do this year round. So for me, the windows actually work pretty good. I'll probably tint them so people can't see them when I have my lights on the inside in summertime at night. But for now, it's winter time. I'm just trying to save money working over the road. So I don't need to worry about the windows. The full side of foam will work just fine. But make sure to get the measurements and measure your bed and see if it'll fit. This topper, I believe, belongs to a 2004 Chevy and a long bed. And you can see a little bit of fitment issue. And you can buy this rubber stuff. This one had it when I bought it. And you can tell someone chopped on it before. That's a perfectly fine thing to do. But 2004 Chevy, a little narrower than my truck and a little shorter. So I lost some space. But I paid $250 and drove 2 hours for this topper. So it's all right for what I paid for it. Right here, your tailgate doesn't insulate very well. I could see light from the inside, so I just threw this foam on it. I wanted thicker foam. I found it at Walmart, and I looked at hardware stores too. I wanted inch double-sided foam. This is like 3/8 or something, but that's all I could find at the time. But it seals it off there all right. You can tell I could use some more foam up in here, which I will probably do. And let me close this. See, I stuck some foam right there because it had a little bit of a gap, just being an old topper. And this is pretty hard to crank down, pull, and shut, but that actually seals up a lot better when I close that off. And you can see I got a little gap there. I probably need to add some foam here. The deal with this is just an old topper, and a lot of them do this. There's play up and down. The screw holes have wore out and it's sagged a little bit. So those are some things to look for. Here's what the inside looks like. And it's not bad. Pretty roomy in here before I get stuff in here. The floor is clicked together 1/2-inch foam mats. I got it from Harbor Freight. I need 4 packages because they come in a 4-pack. And for me to cover up my bed, I needed 3 by 4. So these 3 plus an extra make up 1 pack. These 3 plus an extra make a 1 pack. These 3 plus an extra make up 1 pack. And that'd be my 4 packs plus my extra ones on the ends for them 3 packages. Wound up being my 3 at the very end here. You can also see there's a little gap in here. I probably need to take some more sticky foam like this and stick it to the inside of the tailgate. Another thing I did, mainly because my tailgate latches were sticking, but I took this cover off. That gives me, in case I didn't want to reach over and pull the latch, it gives me access from the inside to grab these rods and pull it. But I mainly did that because the tailgate was sticking. Eventually I'll probably put that panel back on and insulate over it, or I'll take like a carpet insulator and screw on it, put a slit through it and make it Velcro if I wanted to leave that open just for a little more insulation. I'm honestly not too worried about my insulation leaks back here due to the fact that I think it'll stay overly warm by the time I have all this foam in here. I have already been staying in here in Colorado, and from the point of me staying in here, it only had this foam flooring and it had this little bit of foam on the ceiling. This is 1/4 inch closed cell sticky piece of one-sided foam. It comes in square sheets. I thought I'd be pretty good with that stuff, and I would have been all right, but I only had 1 blanket. I should have brought a mummy bag or something, and I had a little buddy heater. And I did all right when it got down to probably 20 degrees at night. But when it was around about 2 degrees at night, I was freezing in here. I think that'll change with all this better insulation I'm putting in here now. So that's why I'm showing you guys this way to build it. I thought my bed liner here would help insulate a tiny bit. But what really happened was when I got that buddy heater on in here, there's just not much insulation in between these, and trying to create a warm inside with a cold outside created condensation on the walls. And then the next day when I wasn't in here, when I was at work, it would freeze and it'd turn to ice. And it wouldn't get hot enough in here to melt the ice, but it'd create condensation, especially when I cooked. So I really just on the inside walls here, the steel bed, wound up with ice buildup. In turn, to hold more heat in the really low temperatures, it needs a lot more insulation than I previously thought. And also, you'd do a lot better having like a mummy sleeping bag than just a thin little quilt like I had along with my buddy heater. And I thought of having a 12-volt diesel heater. I'm sure a lot of you have seen them on the internet. And I think those would be a real good idea. And I plan on building something better someday. And that's probably the route I'll go. But for now, with the exhaust on that and just trying to fit it, it'd be a little more difficult. In really cold temperatures, the diesel can gel in those things. Yes, there is additive that can help with that. But for now, I think I get away with my buddy heater if I just insulate it a little better. And that should be better overall. So that was about the topper, somewhat explaining on what I had previously done for insulation. And now here's going to be the continuance of the changes I am making now that I'm back home for a couple days, to actually make this a lot more livable out of in cold weather. I already told you about the floor foam, and I think that's perfectly fine. This click together mat from Harbor Freight, 1/2 inch thick. I think that's plenty of floor insulation. The roof, it'd be hard to fit something more on the roof, and I do have more of these squares. It's already 1/2 inch thick. I think it's okay, but I think I'm going to double layer these. I already have some more, so I'll just slap some more up there and double layer them. For about the amount you see here covering this roof, I think that costed me like 30 bucks or something off of Amazon. And I got another package to do the sides. But something I ran into, I was going to do the sides while I was living out of this thing. And with living in here trying to cook, the sides getting wet and condensation and such, I wasn't able to stick the foam on here. It wouldn't stick while I was living in here. If I were to just be building it, it'd probably be fine. But I didn't get the foam stuck up on the sides. Plus, I think it would have been too cold with my windows anyways for those temperatures. So I do have extra of these foam squares. I'll probably slap them on top. If I were you and I was building one of these, I think I would go ahead and go to the hardware store and get some 1/2 inch foam and either screw it into the top, or if you can see there's a little bit of gap on here, I'd rest it in between the tops of those. I work as an iron worker, and on a job site there was all this foam sitting around. They were going to be trashing it, and they said I could have some. So that's how I wound up with this foam. I don't know the price on this foam. I would guess for a 4x8 sheet it would probably be around 30 or 40 bucks would be my guess. I don't know how much you'd need. You could do the math. Rough math would be 1 sheet for each side and a sheet for the top, and an extra sheet to do the front. So that's around 4 sheets pretty much at that price. This foam I have is 4-inch foam. And the 1/2 inch foam or the inch foam would work pretty well, even up to the 2-inch foam. The 4-inch foam will work all right. It's probably a hair bit of overkill, but it'll be fine. First thing, I'm doing the sides here. You can see I already have a piece up in here. I just kept taking measurements and cutting it to fit. You can see my trimming job's here all right, and I would recommend doing the sides first and then doing the glass side, just so it can squeeze in between these. And it was really just measure, hold it up, do an angle cut, measure, hold it up. You can see I have both back sides done. And really I'd cut out one side and then I'd lay the other side next to it and copy it. But I'll show you here some of the weird angle cuts I did. So here it is, it looks fine in there. I measured up the height that I needed. I measured across till I came to this stake pocket because it sticks out more. And then I measured to the bottom of the fender, measured how high the fender was, and basically you can see I kind of roughly traced out a cut and cut it. But if you look behind here, there's an angle there to fit that angle. Back here it's very sloped, so there's just some random hacking away a slope on there to make that fit. And back there there's that tie down, so I have a weird slit for the tie down. So it's really just hold it up, see what's hitting, use a Sawzall or something. That's what I use to cut a clearance for the foam. And I wouldn't recommend filling your bed with Great Stuff foam, but eventually this is going to come off and this truck's going to get a flatbed, and I'll probably mostly use it where it'll come off or not be noticeable. But I think I'm going to use a Great Stuff foam as kind of a glue and more of an insulator, because you see there's gaps. So I will probably pop this in there and just put a little tiny bead of Great Stuff foam in there, maybe in the top, maybe around here, and kind of use it as an insulator and to stick everything together. All right, so here's the outside view of how it is now. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of my foam placed in here and then show you guys the finished product. All right, so it's not perfect, but you can see I got it all foamed in. There's the black foam on the top that was already there. And then it doesn't line up the best. You can see there's imperfections, but it's kind of all cut out and crammed where it belongs. I think it should just stay put by the friction. And this back window, I may take them black foam pads I used on the ceiling and do the tailgate. Maybe try to cram it inside the tailgate there. And maybe do this back window with them. But that's pretty well good. That should be pretty well insulated, I believe. So I think that's everything on the topper there. So that's about as far as I'm going to go on this video for insulation and topper. Any little things I might change, I'll explain in a later on video. But that's that for now. Next should be the furniture, such as bed and table. And I'll get you my pricing on what I have into this so far. In total, is if I were to buy all this material, so you know what it'll cost you. And I hope this was informational to you guys, and any support is appreciated. It helps me do more of this kind of stuff. So like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff is very helpful. And I'll catch you guys on the next one, Black Diesel Garage. See you guys.